Welcome to the ROI Masterclass, the podcast where vision meets strategy and bold moves create measurable results. I'm Liat, Siegel, interior designer and ROI strategist with 17 years of experience. I help businesses transform properties and ideas into high-performing assets. This show is specifically for real estate investors, hospitality operators, and boutique developers who aren't afraid to take risks, challenge the status quo, and demand a return on every decision they make. Each and every week, we talk with innovators and leaders across industries about the strategies and the insights and really all the unconventional thinking that turns potential into profit every single time. If you believe that smart design, decisive leadership, and strategic risk are the keys to real ROI, you're in the exact right place. Let's dive in. Today's guest, Hans Lagerweij, a global business leader with over 20 years of experience driving growth in travel, hospitality, and consumer brands. He's helped turn around companies across 50 countries and was involved in major launches like the Four Seasons yachts. Hans is known for building strong teams, creating standout customer experiences, and delivering double-digit growth. He's also the author of The Why Whisperer, focused on aligning teams to get strategy done. Please welcome Hans to the show. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, Liat. Thanks. It's nice being here. Thanks for inviting me. And also compliments for pronouncing my difficult last name.
I tried. It took me a couple times, but I did it right.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your background, how you got to what you're doing now, and what keeps you waking up in the morning wanting to serve the clients that you do.
Yeah, so I actually started off back in the Netherlands, where I'm originally from, after doing my MBA in business and marketing. Started off in a fast-moving consumer goods career. So for 9 years, I had the excitement in my life of managing toilet paper, diapers, shoe polish, deodorant. I'm making jokes about it, but fantastic brands, fantastic learning environment. But clearly, I was searching for something different in my life, and I found that in hospitality. So I switched to hospitality. I have managed tour operators, adventure travel companies, expedition cruise companies, small luxury cruise companies. 3 years ago, I started my own company, advising companies, people on growth, on commercial strategies, because that is the core that I do, so marketing and sales. However, what I've noticed, and I noticed in my career, but also working for my clients, is that strategy, everyone loves strategy. Everyone loves to work on strategies. Not many strategies succeed. And the main reason why many strategies don't succeed is just bad implementation. If you hear that 95% of the employees have around the world, this is not me researching, it's a published study, 95% of employees have no clue what the strategy is of the company they're working for. I mean, that's a huge concern. So that was the reason for me writing my book. So The Why Whisperer, How to Motivate and Align Teams That Get Your Strategy Done, which is actually a very practical book with checklists, with very practical tips that companies, leaders, entrepreneurs can apply immediately, basically, to improve their strategy implementation.
With understanding that strategy doesn't have a very high success rate in terms of implementation, what's the one lever that you pull in order to make sure that it's as successful as possible?
It's not one lever. So I'm defining in my book what I call the 6C model. Of strategy implementation. Starting off, the first C is clear communications, and that's probably the most important one. If you push me to focus on one, so it is how to communicate to all your complete team, not just to the senior or the executives, the complete team, your vision, your strategy, your why, your purpose. But other points, other C's are consistent reinforcement, so that you come back and repeat without getting into repetition. Reinforce also with your HR systems, your personal development programs in the organization. That also touches the third C, cultural alignment. So really align all the processes and systems with your strategy. Continuous improvement, which so you have books about continuous improvement. I will just touch on it, but this makes the point that instead of locking yourselves up for 4 months, analyzing everything, getting a strategy, then 4 months to get approval for your strategy, and then start implementing it, and probably by that time your strategy is already outdated. Just have a generic vision. Start working on implementation aspects and evaluate and improve. And by the way, I believe that this also can be applied on design. We can discuss it later.
Yes.
Another C is very important, collaborative engagement. So this is all about teamwork. It's all about involvement. Also a key aspect of design, because you should not only have the key decision makers and all the creative people in a room if you evaluate the design. You should also have representatives of those that maintain the design and update the designs and clean the designs. So collaborative engagement. And then my last C is celebrating successes. And I really had to define my C's. I wanted to have it. See, I actually think it's a bit bigger than just celebrating the little successes. It is about having fun. Strategy should be exciting. The strategy and vision should excite teams. Yeah, give some fun on the work floor. It should not be a boring big document that you put in a drawer and that only comes out when you move offices.
Absolutely. And I think that is really important. I don't think that there's enough celebration of the wins. We're in a culture where it's just work and work and work, in terms of our teams, in terms of, how as entrepreneurs, how we work to achieve a goal. And I think to stop for a minute, we need to remember to slow down, to stop for a minute and reevaluate and also celebrate those wins, not just for ourselves, but also the team needs celebration. Because as a leader, we need to be able to guide our team and remind them that they are doing a good job. And
absolutely.
When they feel good and they feel seen, then they're going to do better. Like I work really hard with everybody whether it's a contractor or an architect or my design team, I'm constantly trying to focus on what they've done right and, say, this is amazing. You did great. You did this was really hard. And I see that you took the time to really think this through and come up with a creative solution, or I really appreciate that you went the extra mile to find a solution instead of saying, no, we can't do this. We can't achieve that. It's too hard. It's too expensive, whatever it is.
Absolutely. And celebrate, the little steps in light also with the continuous improvement. Don't wait with your celebration when the year is over and when the results are in, or maybe not in. Do it in the little steps, the little achievements, and that will create such an cheering, winning culture, essential element.
Absolutely. So what are the ways that you measure return on investment, especially for teams or within your advisory?
Return on investment, of course, it is for every company project different, but logically it is about the bottom line, delivering the profit, the margin with a limited expenditure. It's that's business, controlling costs, maximizing revenue.
You've turned around a lot of businesses. What are your key takeaways and things in terms of things that they miss? What are things that they can, that most people can do in order to really see their businesses succeed?
The important thing to start with is also to understand what will have the biggest impact in your business financially, because you should not try to do everything. Most entrepreneurs, even leaders, they think that the most impact that their business have is just driving top line. And look, top line revenue is critical. It is important. And to give you an example, in cruising and also in hotels, top line is important, but actually what is way more important is occupancy. So you have your asset, you have your ship, or you have your hotel, and instead of having 10 ships with 40% occupancy, what you want to have is 5 ships with 80% occupancy. That will drive your bottom line, not top line per se. So, and you really have to understand those little details. Another example, if you work on that occupancy, and I had discussions with boards, etc. So, cost of a team, cost of a marketing team, cost of a sales team, as long as your additional new employees bring in top line, bring in money, boost that occupancy, you will see that the return on investment on hiring them is positive, because you are in this huge fixed cost game of a ship. And if you boost that occupancy to 80, 90, maybe even 100%, that's when you print money. So I have seen boards or owners that were very reluctant on, no, we cannot hire more people. Well, it depends. If those 5 extra employees will get your occupancy from 80 to 90%, that has a big return on investment. So in the end, it is about a really good understanding what drives the bottom line most in your organization. And then, of course, develop strategies, plans around it, and implement it well. Align your teams behind it.
So for boutique hotels or, more experiential high-end properties, if they're able to, let's say, use design to increase their ADR and the occupancy then drops a little bit, is that a different situation? Like they're able to increase their revenue with their ADR, their higher ADR, but they don't need as many people. Their costs come down because of, the cleaning services, the maintenance and all of that. Is that a situation that also works, or what would you recommend in that kind of scenario?
Yeah, I mean, it is positive, but in the end, your hotel is still this big fixed cost asset, and you want to work also on that occupancy. Now, if you have this beautifully designed that stands out, that attracts the top end of the customers of the market, you don't want to get into discounting or any cheap ways to fill your capacity. But I'm a very creative, positive thinking leader. I think in every case you can create strategies to boost both that net revenue and your occupancy.
What would be, some creative ways in a situation like that, where, let's say, you have a dated property and it goes through updates and redesign and we're able to increase the ADR? What would be your strategy for also increasing occupancy at the same time? So you have those additional increases in profitability from both those things.
Yeah. So I would always apply the traditional sales funnel model here, which starts off with letting as many people know about your hotel and about what it looks like. And what I've seen within companies are not leveraging now today's global reach. They very much focused, especially if it comes to luxury cruising, they're very focused on the US, because yes, the US is the biggest luxury travel market in the world. But I have learned that, taking a global vision, looking for high net worth customers beyond even Europe and Australia, Asia. In Asia, in my view, it's really happening. Asia is, luxury travel in Asia is booming. Take that global approach for finding new customers. And the other thing is in that sales funnel model is, of course, in the end, conversion. So make sure that you have a great story. In the end, it's about storytelling, about your new property, about your new design. What's your why? What's your purpose behind this design? And communicate that and bring it to life. Bring it to life. Storytelling involves, a rich choice of media. Show it, because that will drive conversion.
Absolutely. I think that, design and marketing, interior design is just another marketing tool in my eyes. It's a strategy, but then paired with trying to also tell that story and who you are and what your why is, right? This is also and on your book as well is built off of, that same principle and idea. That is the way to differentiate yourself, to create the know, like, trust factor with the audience. and really stand apart, because there's so much competition, right? And people today are very discerning in the experiences. Where are they going to put their dollars? And if you can stand out and you can connect, as if you're literally standing in front of your ideal guest, and you're telling them and sharing your heart and your journey and why this property is really going to elevate their experience, then I think you win every single time.
Yeah. In the end, design is an expression of your brand.
So what have you seen work or not work in terms of design? What aspects do you feel that it's an important piece to the whole brand storytelling journey?
So what I've learned, actually, these are some key learnings from design on cruise ships. And why is this even, I think, a better learning environment than design for hotels? So, once your ship or the design of your ship is delivered, then you need to operationalize it. But on a ship, you always have just a limited amount of manpower. If you have a cabin available, a room, then either you can give it to a cleaner, or you can give it to someone that sells future trips on board, or you can combine maybe two cabins and actually sell it to customers. So you're always pressured on manpower on ships. Always, and more than just with hotels, because you can always just pay an additional cleaner in a hotel. On a ship, no, you don't have that bed capacity. So with that, having a life cycle approach to design is critical. Your design ROI isn't just about sales, it's about making daily operations sing. And what I mean by that, if suddenly your beautiful design that customers love, and it's so beautiful, but it takes twice the time to clean it, or there is fragile parts that continuously have to be repaired and maintained, on a ship, that will not work. So one of the learnings that I have with design processes, it's interesting. As I said, design is simply a reflection of your brand. So generally in these processes, a lot of seniority wants to get involved. Funny enough, I think everyone thinks that they are design specialists and know what a good design looks like. But my big tip is also involve people that have to maintain it, that have to clean it, especially if you are a little bit further, because the biggest hidden cost in I think in design is the human friction.
Absolutely. I mean, I'd love to survey the people that are working in the space, as well as the customers or guests, and management and the stakeholders. Like everybody has to, and the contractors, and everybody has to have a seat at the table, not to, have too many cooks in the kitchen, but that it should be a collaborative process. Like you mentioned about teamwork and all of that, and that and the communication that's missing in today's day and age, that we need more input, or that the product comes out amazing. It's not enough to be a good designer. It's not enough to have some strategy or data that guides it, but it has to be the right data. And the right
Absolutely.
data happens when you speak to the people that are using the space, the people that are cleaning the space, and get the different perspectives so that you can come up with the most superior product possible.
True ROI with design is design with everyone in mind, especially those that have to, live, breathe, operate it on a daily basis. And fairly enough, the mistake that I've seen is that the key people involved in designs, they are not involved in the daily operation of that design. They're actually sometimes just too far away from the daily life, from operations.
Absolutely. What is your favorite project, and what was the biggest key takeaway from that you learned, and how has that changed the way you operate today?
I think everything had learnings, but maybe not the biggest learning, but one that I also want to bring in is we talked about continuous improvement. So continuous improvement is all about doing something, then evaluate it, and then implement the learnings. And in a lot of cases, this is also possible with design. And I give you an example. One time I was involved in a renovation of a expedition cruise ship, the Ocean Diamond, and unfortunately it was just scrapped last year. A beautiful baby that I worked with, but what we did also, just to keep on operations, we upgraded it, we renovated it deck by deck. So 1 year we did a deck in the 2 weeks that the ship was not sailing with passengers, and the year after we did another deck. And initially, I got a lot of pushback with it. Pushback like, no, but then, your ship will have different decks with a different feel. And actually, yes, I would admit that is something that has to be managed, something that has to be communicated with customers. And yeah, I mean, you could charge more for renovated decks. You could charge a little bit less for non-renovated decks. But the biggest advantage of that is that we could evaluate a new deck in action for a couple of months and apply those learnings immediately in the next upgrade. And one of the things I've learned, there's always things that you learn that you could have done better, or this USB port that was not in the right location, or something else that there's always an improvement possible. So if you go just for one go, your full property or your full ship, yeah, you will make mistakes, hopefully small mistakes that you have to live with. And by the way, this is also with new build projects. So again, with ships, what I see companies sometimes doing is they design a new vessel, beautiful, and then before that beautiful first vessel is in the waters, they have already started working on a second vessel of the same class. And in that way, it's very hard to implement the learnings from your first vessel to the second vessel. It's still possible, but I can tell you, shipyards make a lot of money with it, because these are then last minute changes. So they charge double for it. So ideally, if it's possible, you would love to have a new ship in action, evaluated, and again, evaluated with the full team, including maintenance, including cleaners, before you finalize the design of the second ship of that class.
I mean, that's really powerful, because that goes back to what you said about evaluating and reevaluating. There are always mistakes. There are always things that go wrong. I think that, in managing expectations for the clients and, customers, as well, is important to let them know that nothing is perfect. We're humans at the end of the day, right? And even AI couldn't do what we do. So having that feedback loop and being able to see what went right or wrong, and then getting feedback in action. That's why, in hotels, they'll have the staff sleep in the rooms and do a run of how the property operates and how things are used in order to, or setting up a mock-up room in order to see how it functions. And that is the key way to ensure that the project gets better and better and better, that property, the next property, and so on. And so for scalability, because that's ultimately what every company wants. They want to be able to take that model, have something that's successful, and be able to repeat it again and again and again through proper systems and streamlining operations.
Another tip that I can give. So in my book, I also quickly talk about another big book, the Balance Scorecard, that probably, I think, a very pragmatic book about indeed measurement and measurement of success. And also with design, we have to think further than just top line and cost. There's so much that you can measure on design and the success of your design. Think about life cycle cost reductions, energy efficiency savings, waste reduction, net promoter score, specifically on the design of your stateroom or suite, reduced support tickets of maintenance issues, whatever. There is a lot that you can measure. So measure it, because that helps you improve with any future projects, any future designs.
What is one thing that you think customers are looking for, guests are looking for, and why would they choose one property over another? Like, what's the biggest thing that makes them want to to buy and spend the money on one property versus another?
It's a good question, Liat, but there's no single answer for that. And I just did, it was last week actually, a LinkedIn post on this, that the word luxury, in my view, the word luxury is the most used and also abused word in our industry. Because as brands, we all think that we are luxury, and we all think that everyone understands what luxury means. But if you dive into that, luxury means completely different things for different people. There's customers who look for the best modern design and branding. But nowadays, it really goes beyond that. What customers more and more are looking for is a total experience, a unique experience. And to give you an example, when we started doing small hot tubs outside on terraces in cruise ships, for a lot of customers, it is about that Instagram picture with the sunset and drinking a glass of bubbles in that hot tub. But again, that's for one a group of customers very attractive. Others, it is about guaranteed fantastic service, personalized luxury. It means completely different things for different people.
It's really knowing your avatar, knowing who your guests are.
Yes.
Right. Having, you can have multiple different, archetypes of who that guest is. And then you need to be able to design, strategically implement decisions in order to meet all of those needs.
Yes.
Without diluting the story.
Yeah. It was really a funny post on LinkedIn and a lot of comments, because it seems the word luxury is something that fascinates people. But as I said, it means different things for different people.
So what do you see as the biggest trend and opportunity for somebody looking to build out a hotel, or whether they have one right now and are looking for their next investment?
I would say keep that experience in mind, and experience driven. If you look in what's happening in the market, and actually it's very funny. It is driven by a younger, very wealthy customers from Asia. That's also where I wrote a LinkedIn post about recently. It is really beyond that beautiful, clean design. It is about what kind of unique feeling, unique experience can you create? Maybe create in the room or outside the room, create somewhere in the hotel, maybe in a food and beverage outlet, something unexpected, something that is shareable. And this is not about showing off, but these customers, they are proud of experiencing something unique, and they want to capture it. They want to capture it for the rest of their lives. That is their use of social media. So I sometimes think about, so what's the Instagrammable moment that you try to create here?
Exactly. And then they share it, and then other people also want that Instagrammable moment. This has been so fascinating. Can you leave our audience with 3 big tips, aside for maybe experience? So maybe you can build off of that, maybe 2 more additional things that you think they could do in order to see the highest return on investment within their businesses.
So one of them is basically a summary of what we have discussed. So I would say great or successful designs look good, but ROI-driven designs perform beautifully for the entire organization. So it's again, keep the entire organization in mind and involve them. Involve everyone. Yeah, that next to building unique experiences. And the third one is also a little bit of summary. Don't think you know what, for example, luxury is, because you don't. It is in the end about what your customer thinks luxury is.
Amazing. This has been such a fascinating conversation. You have a very unique perspective and very unique set of skills. And I'm really happy that you joined us today to be able to share it with our audience.
Thank you, Liat. It was fun. It was really fun being on your show.
Thank you. And if our audience would like to learn more about you, your book, get in touch, how can they do that?
I have a website that also contains information about my book. The challenge with that, the web address is you have to know how to spell my name. So it's www.hanslagerweij.com. But if you make a typing error, then just look me up on LinkedIn, because that's the positive thing about having a difficult last name. There's only one Hans Lagerweij guy on LinkedIn.
I love it. Well, we'll put all your information in the show notes so that our audience can reach you and connect. And we're looking forward to hearing more from you in the future.
Thank you, Leah.